Hey friends, how are you doing today? It is a gorgeous Saturday here in the neighborhood. The wind's blowing lightly. The weather is somewhere in the 60 degree to 70 degree range, which is just this beautiful, wonderful, comfortable temperature. Certainly not pool or beach weather, but definitely a nice spring day. I got my act together this morning early. Let me tell you, typically, my husband and I wake up, we do the whole social media thing. Yes, I know a lot of personal coaches say, don't do that first thing in the morning. Do the things that you need to do first and then get to social media. But we kind of like our routine. We get up, we sit in bed. He gets on TikTok and Facebook, and I do TikTok sometimes. I would love to film TikTok videos because they are so fun. If I could live my whole life in the frivolity of TikTok, I would, because it's just such a wonderful escape, elevates my mood, and just cracks me up. And TikTok feeds if you have a short attention span, those people, it feeds all their dreams because you can see within seconds if you like the video, and if not, you just swipe. So anyway, he gets on TikTok and Facebook, and I get on YouTube and Instagram. Those are my two social media outlets. And I watch videos and I look at people's Instagram posts and their reels, and I think about what do I want to do today and all of that. And we have a cup of coffee in bed. I know, kind of weird, but we do. And then what happens on the weekends is that I will get up and my husband and I do breakfast for the kids. Could they cook breakfast? Yes, they're old enough to cook breakfast, but it's just like this ritual that we enjoy. But I have been in the habit probably for the last, I think since we moved into this house, which was maybe 3 years ago, the last 3 years, that the priority becomes cooking breakfast for everyone else. So I'm down there, I haven't showered, I don't feel like my best self, and I'm like hurrying to cook breakfast so that I can get all of that over with and we can wash the dishes or put them in the dishwasher or whatever, and I can come back up and do what I really want to do, which is take a shower, wash my hair, do my makeup, play with perfume, play with my shoe collection, look at my handbags, look at my jewelry, all the things girly and fabulous. So today I did something different, and I said to my husband, his name is Darren, I think I'm going to go ahead and shower and at least wash and blow dry my hair before I come downstairs. You would be surprised what one small tweak did to the entire day. It just completely shifted the stress level of the day. I felt calm. I felt clean. I even put on one of my favorite hair perfume. It's called the Wee Alluring Mist from Davines. Oh my gosh, this stuff smells amazing. If you love a good spa smell, like that combination of soap and herbs, this is everything to me. And I have the shampoo and conditioner of that as well, and it just makes showering this amazing experience. But anyway, my point being, I felt clean and fresh and put together, right? Because at least, I don't know about you, but when I first wake up, the first thing I want to do is get clean and fresh. I wish that the first thing I wanted to do was work out. Wouldn't that be awesome if I could just throw on my workout clothes, go to the basement, get on that treadmill and, pound out a few miles and then do some weights? I wish. In my dream mind, that's what I do first. But in reality, I have that cup of coffee. And on the weekends, anyway, I end up getting in the shower around 11 o'clock. So I'm slow. How long do you take in the shower? I'm curious. On occasion, if I'm in a rush, I can do like a 5 to 10 minute shower, no problem. But on days when I wash my hair, I exfoliate my face. I do exfoliate every day, but exfoliate my face and I shave my legs and all that. It can take 45 minutes in the shower on the high end. That's extreme. And that's with me letting the hot water run on me and just like enjoying the experience of having running hot water. That's a big deal to me. I've been in other countries and I've traveled and I've had situations where I haven't had hot water. And that's a long time ago, but I still really appreciate just getting in a warm, hot, steamy shower and enjoying the relaxing experience of taking my time, washing my hair, bathing myself. So how long do you take? I'm curious. But what I'm getting at, and I'm rambling and rambling, do you like the Family Circus cartoons from the 80s? Do you remember? It was like a little square, that's it, called Family Circus. And there was a little guy that would go around the neighborhood and they would show this dotted line of him going all over the neighborhood. Like if his mom sent him to go check the mail, You know, mailboxes at the end of the driveway, the little scene, the square cartoon would show him going all around the neighborhood in this dotted line everywhere, the grocery store, the veterinarian, to his school, to visit his friends, and all of that before he got to the mailbox. That's kind of like how my videos are. They're like a family circus cartoon. I just, but I typically, I hope, bring it back to what I'm talking about. So I felt good going downstairs. I felt centered and I was ready to start the day. If not that, like I was saying, I would typically like get in the shower at around 11 and then it's 12 o'clock by the time I'm drying my hair. And then I've got to go get a Diet Coke from downstairs, a Coke Zero or something, because you know, I'm parched. And then I want to do my makeup and then I want to do nails and then I want to watch more videos and then I want to respond to some comments. And by the time I know it, it's like 3 o'clock and I'm still putting on my makeup, which is just an infuriating pattern that I've gotten myself into. I have no one to blame for that. All of that to tell you, I did it different today and I'm really proud of myself for that one small change. I was happy making breakfast. I'm happy coming back upstairs. Did get my own nails done. I did them myself. Do you like this color? I order a lot of nail polish from Etsy, and there's a couple of Etsy sellers that I really like. I'll link them below. Really fabulous nail polishes. So what we want to do in today's video, I did want to share with you my huge accomplishment, that one change in my morning routine that made such a difference. And I've already done 3 makeup steps. So I want to do a little bit of a get ready with me and talk a little bit about some dynamics at work that are also part of life that I think you can probably relate to. But I have started my makeup routine, of course, with my moisturizing foundation. No, my moisturizer. And the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer in the color 3W. This is a color, as you can see, that is darker than my regular skin tone. I do have a video on my favorite makeup tips, one of which is not to be afraid to use a concealer that's darker than your skin versus lighter, which is what all of the makeup artists tell us to do, because it does give you a more natural look. Like this isn't overly brightened here to the point where I look canceled out. So that's a really helpful tip. And then for my foundation, I used my Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup Foundation. This is in the color 3N1 Ivory Beige, which is almost a perfect color match for me. I find it to be a really natural color for me when I'm not completely winter pale, but I'm not into my summer warmest toned skin. Lastly, before we get into the makeup look that I want to do today, I powdered. Oh my God, we almost had a disaster. Powdered with the, oh my heart, let it stop beating so fast. The Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder in the color 2, which I think is like their, is it their medium? Do they have, yeah, it says 2 medium. And I've got a nice dent in that, as you can see. I hit pan, as they say in the makeup community, which just means that you see the bottom of the pan that the thing is sitting in. And so I'm anxious to use this up because I have so many powders. Something in me will feel really proud for finishing up an actual powder. So as usual, when I film these Get Ready With Me videos on the weekends, I am going to be filming a video later for my other channel. And I do what I call channel makeup, meaning overly exaggerated, you know, really intense pigmentation on the look. And everything that I do is like times 10 so that the camera can actually pick it up. Otherwise, the camera and the ring lights and everything wash everything out. So I'm going to use a palette by a controversial figure, and it's the Jeffree Star Cremated palette. You know, he's got a lot of controversy around him, and I'm not here to talk about all that. You know, I don't get into all that, but I do love this palette. It is a beautiful, cool tone and has a little bit of a couple of warm shades in here, but it's in the grayish, stone colored. It's just such a fantasy palette that way. So we'll play with that. I want to go ahead and bronze first though, and I have been enjoying the Huda Beauty medium colored Contour. I can't talk today. Take 2. The Huda Beauty Tantour Contour and Bronzer Cream in the color Medium, which is a very dark shade. Let me show that to you. So the secret with these is I only use the darkest bronzers on days when I'm filming, because for day-to-day use, unless you're going out at night to like a glamorous event, you look like a clown, at least I do, with really exaggerated bronzer on. But I'm taking the Sonia G Classic Base Brush like this. It's actually dirty. I used this for foundation yesterday, but let's do it. So here's the topic for today, and I'd love to get all of your thoughts. I know for a fact that most of the viewers on this channel are ladies, and the majority of you, not all, are in the range of 30 to about 65, 70 range. That's really, really dark, and I'm going to buff that out. So the reason I bring up the demographics for the channel, and if you're not in that demographic, you can probably still relate to this, but I think it's especially important for this demographic to talk about this topic, which is imposter syndrome. Do you know what that is? I do, because I suffer from it, and I know a lot of my friends do too. By the way, I am overdoing this bronzer. You don't really have to do that. It's actually like a contour and bronzer in one. You can just put bronzer where you think you need it. I am just so in the habit of doing the entire perimeter of my face that I almost forget to just target bronze in places that I want to like pinch in. I know that seems a little ridiculous, but so imposter syndrome, let's talk about that. It is when you don't feel like you're adequate for the role that you have. So let's talk about that in terms of YouTube to make an easy analogy, and then I'll talk about why I wanted to bring this topic up here. For YouTube, let's say you're starting your channel. You see all these people successfully launching their channels, growing them quickly, who seem to know what they're talking about in the space that you want to be in. What am I doing here? This is nuts. We've got to tone this down. Mama went overboard, but let me just keep going. I'll come back to this. And so anyway, as you start your channel, let me just use like the fragrance channel that I have as an example. You feel like you don't have the expertise that other people do, and you're never going to be good enough. People are going to see through your facade, and they're going to see that you're inadequate. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not qualified to do it. All those voices in your head that mess up your self-confidence. They drag you down and make you think you're just not good enough. People have theories about where that comes from. You know, you can look up videos on YouTube, and psychologists will tell you it's from childhood trauma, when your parents told you weren't good at, all this stuff. I don't really know. I didn't have any of that sort of thing. My mom was a tough mom in that she had really, really high expectations of us. She was that mom, like if you brought home, a B plus, she wanted to know why you didn't get the A. But I can't say that that really traumatized me. I say that that really helped me to strive to be my best self. People can disagree, but that's how I feel about that. So I'm not really sure where this imposter syndrome thing came from. I'll tell you where I think it came from, but I would love to hear from you. Do you know what that is? And can you relate to it? Do you feel like you have or currently suffers the wrong word? I mean, who suffers from imposter syndrome, but that it affects you, that thinking that you're not good enough and people are going to see it. So here's where it comes into play for me this past week. So I'm going to go around the barn with this story, but we're going to come back into the front door in a second. So let me tell you a little bit about where I think my imposter syndrome comes from. Oh my God, what did I just do? That should be the thumbnail. I have been very, very, very fortunate my entire life in that somewhere, somehow, y'all look, let's talk about this going on. The lighting I have 3 skylights, as you guys know. There's huge lighting from here that's making this side look dramatically different than this side, which has the overhead lights and the light from a little mirror that I have here. So this looks absolutely crazy right now. Hang with me. I will fix all of this. I promise. Don't click off the video, okay? I got you. I got myself. I'm gonna fix this. But back to imposter syndrome. So all my life, people in leadership positions have tapped me to step up into different kinds of leadership roles. I'm talking about all the way back through elementary, like even in elementary, like becoming the line leader in your class, as you're walking down the hallways. I was like was I the valedictorian or the salutatorian in elementary? Whatever, one of those two. And then in middle school, same thing. I got tapped for leadership roles. I was the student council president. All this stuff. I won't get into all that because it sounds like I'm bragging and I'm not. That's not the point. What I'm getting at is that I have had to step into roles that I wasn't sure I was 100% ready for. And what that does, and that's a good thing. Let me say this. If you are given opportunities that are unique and are good for you, don't let your fears get the best of you and you then turn them down. Step into the role. It's the gentleman from Virgin Atlantic. What is his name? Branson? Ted Branson? No, that's an actor. Let's put his picture here. This gentleman, I think it was him who said, when you have a great opportunity, take it, and then you figure out later how to make it work. That's a really tough leap of faith that you have to take. I shouldn't say you have to, you don't have to do anything, that you might want to take when opportunities come your way. Instead of scaring yourself out of these wonderful experiences that can really help shape like next phases of your life, but you're too, pardon my language, chicken poop to do it. Take the opportunity and then figure out how to make it work. All of that to say, I have certainly stepped into roles in my life that I haven't been ready for and figured it out. And it's in that figuring out period that the imposter syndrome completely sets in. So like I said, have been fortunate when you get into those positions that you also then step into a peer or colleague group that thinks differently than you do, maybe has more sophisticated skills, sophisticated thinking, a lot more strategic in the way that they approach things. And certainly they bring a world of experience that you don't as a newbie in the experience. And I don't talk about my work on social media because I'd like to keep that separate and private. But I do want to share that the role that I have is a blessed role as I consider it. It's a leadership role, and it's a role that requires me to grow a portion of my skill set that I was not trained in, but have sort of learned on the job along the way. And it impacts a lot of people. What I do in my role impacts a lot of people. And so I take it very seriously because I have been blessed with the role. I've been trusted to do a good job. I was able to assemble a leadership team to work with me. I have the resources that I need to do the job well. The part that I am still working to conquer is that imposter syndrome part of things where I talk my mind rather. I don't know if it's me. It has to be me because it's in my mind. But that voice talks me out of confidence that I need to execute well on the job. And only I know that. No one else knows the dialogue in my mind. I'm also conscious to make sure that how I am expressing myself betrays that voice in my head that says otherwise. I want the way that I sound to be calm, cool, collected, confident, informed, strategic, and not sound like all of the things the voice in my head says to say. Now, we all know what I'm talking about, right? Especially as women. I find that women do this a lot more than men. We downplay ourselves as we talk if we're not confident. We do things like create questions on the end of our sentences, like we need everyone's opinion on everything we're saying all the time. We use a lot of fillers like and like and well and all those sorts of things. We also say things like, and I'm very guilty of this, if that makes sense. Of course what you're saying makes sense, or give people an opportunity to process what you're saying and make sense out of it. They'll let you know, hopefully, if you can trust them, that you're not making sense, and they'll ask, if that makes sense, does that make sense to everyone? Is that okay with everyone? May I have a second to interject? There's this funny thing developing on social media, this dynamic where, especially when it comes to girls, women, you'll see memes you'll see reels and those kinds of things that promote young ladies being what I call sassy. There's a very big difference between being sassy and disrespectful and being confident and speaking your truth. So I just want to be clear. I don't like those memes that are like, oh, she's not being a bitch. She's being a boss. No, you're kind of being a bitch. You kind of are. You're not being nice. I'm going on a tangent, but I do think that you can be confident and secure and hold your own at a table with other powerful members of your business community or whatever, and still be kind and have a softness about you that makes you a comforting person to others. I believe in that. That's how I want to operate. You can go through the world however you want, but I do not believe in women overcompensating for the historical past of not having a place at the table by being overly aggressive or unkind. It's that whole be the change that you want to see in the world. You can't be the change if you are overcompensating and behaving in ways that make you very much like the things you dislike. Why am I going to be loud and obnoxious at a conference table, virtual or in person, with my colleagues when what I really want is for them to have good manners, be polite, and treat each other well? That's a long tangent. I am fortunate in that I happen to work with colleagues that are incredibly kind, incredibly respectful, and do value what others bring to the table. So I don't really like face that kind of thing at my workplace, but I have been in workplaces where you kind of have to scrap for your place. But even in doing that, I believe in doing that, keeping whatever your values based is. And for me, that's a Judeo-Christian base of values, like keeping that first and foremost at the forefront of how you behave with people and not feeling like you have to behave outside of those expectations to be heard, to earn your place, to earn respect. None of that. I don't play those reindeer games. Like, I'm going to be a kind and considerate person unless someone's a complete jerk, and then I get a little unkind in those situations, or a little direct. But back to the imposter syndrome thing, I want to be able to come across confident to my colleagues and secure. But at the same time, I mean, just to be honest, there are, of course, times when I need help in what I'm doing. And I think that's okay, too, to say, can you take a look at this concept paper for this thing that I want to do and provide me with critique, right? So being confident doesn't mean that you know everything. In fact, it's kind of hard to define like what confidence looks like, but I do appreciate a mix of expertise, a mix of strategic thinking and planning, along with that ingredient of, I'm not quite sure how to do this or get this done. Can we collaborate and work together to figure out an approach that we want to try? That approach may fail or it may not. So all of that to say that imposter syndrome has been big on my mind. It's been something that I have secretly, quietly battled my entire life. My entire life. The way that it manifests itself for me, as I was talking about speaking confidently, I have to pause before I speak in meetings, because what happens is I will open my mouth and my brain will betray me. I've got the thought all figured out in my head, but when I open my mouth, I sound like Elmer Fudd. Is that Elmer Fudd? Like, I don't know what I'm saying. There are a couple of things that I find helpful when trying to overcome imposter syndrome. I mean, I've just kind of come to the conclusion that at this point in my life, it's so like deep in my psyche that it's something I'm probably going to have to be aware of and overcome in every new position before I kind of get settled and get my rhythm and figure out what I'm doing and kind of earn my stripes, if you will. One is remembering that just because you are self-righteous doesn't make you right. Why do I bring that up? One of the things that I find intimidating in work settings and social settings too, quite frankly, intimidating is not the right word, but just hang with me for a second, is when other people appear very confident in whatever proclamations they're making. It can be about a social issue. It can be about politics. It can be about how to proceed in solving a problem. You know, there's that whole expression that like there is the appointed leader of a group, and then there's the recognized leader, which is the informal person, the person that acts informally as a leader that everyone follows. You know what I'm talking about. There's always that one person who's super confident, charge ahead and leads the way, and everybody follows them no matter what they're saying. I have learned to be really, really skeptical of those people, just in a way that, not to discredit them, because sometimes they have great contributions, but in a way that makes me think critically about what they're offering to the conversation, the problem solving process, or whatever it is that we're going through. Because I find that by human nature, people tend to believe the squeakiest person, the loudest wheel, the one that seems the most confident. And why is that? It's because typically other people at the table lack the same confidence. So there's something about that one person seeming so secure in whatever their recommendation, suggestion is. And typically, if they proclaim it in a very self-righteous way, others tend to rally around that. It gives them something to hook onto and believe in. This is our leader. We're going to follow them. You see this happening in all kinds of social movements where you have what I call lost sheep, just waiting for someone to tell them how to think and behave. So understanding that helps me with imposter syndrome. Why? It helps me to remember that the other person who seems super self-confident is probably just louder and talking in more percussive tones, such that other people believe what the person is saying as blanket truth. So just being aware of that has been really helpful to me. And then the other thing that has helped me, I find it important to remember that no matter how accomplished someone is, what their resume or CV may look like, and how much more they've done and how much more they have proven themselves in the field that you're in compared to me, they started somewhere. They learned somewhere. There are capabilities that they are really good at. They have certain knowledge, skills, and abilities that you don't. But just as importantly, you matter too. I matter, and I bring my own unique experiences, skills, abilities, my own competencies to the conversation. And just to remember to always be secure in that and assume the best in others. Part of the way that imposter syndrome messes with your head is it makes you think these people are going to think I'm stupid. They're not going to value what I'm saying. I'm going to sound like a dum-dum. That's your own self-sabotage, or in my case, my own mental self-sabotage. And I have had to tell myself in meetings before I speak up, give these folks the benefit of the doubt. Speak to them as though they already believe in you. And that really changes for me the tone and tenor of what I say, right? And then I also extend the same respect, even with the person that may seem self-righteous, whoever that is in the room, with putting that extra filter of remembering just because they sound correct doesn't mean that they are. But nonetheless, I always give folks, or try to give folks, the benefit of the doubt, hear them out, and try to find ultimate value and application in what it is they're sharing in a work environment. I may disagree. I may ultimately say, maybe we want to try a different direction, and here's the pros and cons of going both ways, that kind of thing. But anyway, giving people the benefit of the doubt, that they want to hear you, they want to believe in whatever it is that you're offering, and they want to figure out a way to make it work. You may find people over time that genuinely don't, and you can figure out how to weed those people out. But the goal for me with the imposter syndrome thing is to assume positive intent of the people in the room toward me and give that back to them in exchange, while remembering we're all human and we're all figuring out what we're doing together. Some are better at it than others, some are more accomplished than others, some are more experienced than others. But here we all are, hand in hand, figuring this out. Ooh, that's a lot to take in. So that has been the thoughts that I've had this past week as I've stepped into the role that I stepped into over a year ago, but I'm still figuring out how to do it to the best of my ability, how to lead my team successfully, how to bring out the best in them. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about imposter syndrome. Do you suffer from it? Do you not? And if you do, what are some of the ways that you have either gotten over it, or some of the strategies that you have used to mitigate it in situations where you need to present your best self. Can I just say how much I love this kind of brush that has at least a flat edge on it so that you can get up into your crease area, and you can use it both ways. You can use it to buff. I'm putting on a lot of makeup right now on purpose. You can use it to buff, and you can use the edge of it, to get into the crease area. Okay, now that we have gotten past the imposter syndrome conversation, I have a lot more to say on it, but those were like the main points. And of course, please chime in below and let me know your thoughts on that. I also wanted to ask you all your thoughts on pacing for videos. So on my other channel, the fragrance channel, I try to make sure that my content, what I'm saying, but on this channel, I want to be more chatty because that's the whole point. I have enjoyed a few super chatty channels, one of which absolutely fell in love with this lady, and I'm like, I can't stop binge watching her. Her name is, I think she goes by Lisa D. Now, a lot of her content, not all of her content is super substantive, but I just enjoy putting her on and listening to her as I'm getting ready. There's something so comforting about her voice. She has gotten to a place in her life, she's in her 50s, where she expresses a certain amount of confidence. I dig her whole vibe. And I like just listening to, I can listen to her for like a 40-minute drive and not think anything of it. So I'm curious to hear from all of you about pacing and content. Do you prefer videos where the person just gets to the point and so you can move on with your day? Assuming that you're coming onto the video for some kind of information. Like let's say with this video, you just want to hear about imposter syndrome in the first 10 minutes, what it is, what to do about it, and boom, you're done. Or do you prefer a chatty style video where you get to hang out with the content creator and hear rambly thoughts? Would love to hear your thoughts. You will not hurt my feelings unless you're mean. Don't be mean. Don't be mean. But just say, hey, I love a chatty video, or no, would much prefer if someone would just get right to the point so that I can move on. Or do you like a combination? Sometimes I want one or the other. Sometimes I want the creator to just get to the point, and other times I'm in for like a long time. Like I've got a long drive, or I'm doing laundry, I'm cooking. And I'm like, let me see what so-and-so's talking about. Let's hang out. Let me see what's on her or his mind. Typically, I watch mostly women. There's some men that I watch too. So, would love your thoughts. What are we thinking about this look so far? I love a good gray, cool tone moment. I do. I think I want to use these little Stila eye glitter things. There's a glisten one and then there's a glitter one. This glisten one is in the shade Ocean. And I think I want to do that on the inner corners of the eyes and maybe do the other one on the eyelid. Oh my gosh, I wanted to tell you all, how could I forget? Veronica. I wanted to tell you all that I finally broke up with one of my eyeshadow palettes. I had it in my original eyeshadow video, and I don't remember what I said. Hopefully I said that I wanted to continue to give it a chance because I think I did. But anyway, I used it. Look how pretty that is. Beautiful. I used it the other day, and it was just a pain in the butt. It really was. Like it had fallout. It was just moody. It was like, I know you're trying to go for this look, but I'm not trying to give it to you. And I've had that experience with this palette. I'm gonna show you in a minute. A lot. Every time I use it, there's parts of it that I like and parts of it that I'm like, why are you doing this to me? I get a lot of fallout with the glitters in it. It's moody. The colors in the pan are different than what they appear on the eye. And I just have a hard time with it. I wanted to love it so much. And it is Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde Palette. It's a very pretty color story. These really cool tone lilacs are hit or miss on my eyes. But my problem is like this looks like a nice, almost like maybe a caramelly color with a little hint of terracotta. So I thought it would appear like that on the eye, but it went on the eye almost purple. So I can't trust this palette. It gives me way too many different kinds of vibes compared to what it looks like in the pan. So, and then the glitters, they just give me such drama. They fall all down my face. Even if I use a glitter glue, that has bothered me. I've gotten some nice looks out of that, don't get me wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the glitter one in smoldering satin. Let's see how that looks on, or do I want to use, see, here's the thing about the cremated palette. It's got these gorgeous shimmers. Maybe I'll use like that one with this one on top. Let's do that. Let's do that. That's called Pallbearer. That's a little bit darker. Maybe I need a little glitter glue. Speaking of glitter glue, the Ulta Beauty glitter glue. I just need a little dot to help keep the chunks down. So tomorrow's Easter Sunday. I'll certainly be posting this long after Easter Sunday. Do you celebrate Easter? Do you not? I did as a child. I don't celebrate it now exactly as I think it's intended to be celebrated, but I do celebrate in my mind and heart the miracle part of it. I do. And I don't think it matters what religion you are, my own opinion. I appreciate all religious holidays, even of traditions that I didn't grow up in. I can appreciate what that holiday is about and the spirit of it. And I can still celebrate with my friends that practice that religion. I can celebrate the spirit of that holiday. There's nothing wrong with that. Why not? Why not enjoy each other's traditions, especially the best of the traditions, right? The best parts of those traditions. Why not? So here is most of the look. I think I want to put a little bit of a topper on here with this color Diamond Ashes. Diamond Ashes. Let's just do like right in the, whoop, that part. Okay, I'm here for it. Now we got to do liner and all that. So I'll see you in a little bit. About false eyelashes, which in my opinion makes the biggest difference in a look. Like it will finish it completely and kind of bring it all together. I was able to put one on here. I haven't done the mascara portion yet, but I just wanted to share with you a couple of tips. I am the last person who should be giving tips about false lashes because I have such a hard time with them. But one is, if you have a hard time with false lashes, go ahead and cut it. Well, you can cut it a lot of different ways. You can cut it in half and just use the outer edge. You can cut it in half and place both halves on separately. That's actually a lot easier. But cut a little bit. You see this? This is like on this band, it's got all these little like nodes where the hairs come out of. I've cut about 2 nodes in. It just makes it easier for me to place it on my eye. Now, I happen to have a lot of lid space, but doesn't matter if you have a lot of lid space or a little bit of lid space. Cut the band to a much more manageable length is number one. Number two, make sure that you manipulate the band so that it's pliable. Okay, some of these come with really harsh, hard bands. This one doesn't. It's actually a bandless version, and I wish I could tell you what it's called. I think these are Ardell Wispies 110s, I think. But anyway, do that. Of course, when you apply the glue, you let the glue sit for just a little bit. You want it to sit for 30 seconds or so. I like to apply a glue that is clear and then becomes invisible because I kind of need to, for myself, make the glue a little bit thicker than maybe most people would. And then the other tip, I'm about to put this one on, you'll see me struggle through this in a minute, is don't do the curling of your normal eyelashes, like your natural ones, and mascara before you put this on. Don't do that. Do that all together, and I'll show you how I do that. Otherwise, at least for me, the curl of the lash gets in the way and overcomplicates the application of the lash. So let's see what we've got here. I also like to put it in the middle first and figure out where it's going to attach there, and then come along and do the sides. That helps me. People have lots of different ways of applying eyelashes. There are 1,000,001 tutorials on YouTube. Check them out and see what works for you if you like false lashes. Certainly, they're not a must, but on days when I am filming, I find that it brings the look together nicely and kind of just finishes it off. Now, I haven't done blush or lips yet, but in fact, I like to finish my eyes before I do blush and lips. It gives them a chance to dry, for my mascara and everything to dry before I put setting spray on, because setting spray will, if I put setting spray on before my lashes are completely dry from mascara, I will have mascara all over my face. So I have these eyelash curlers from Sephora. You'll see that they don't have an edge to them. And they're made, I think, specifically for when you have false eyelashes on, so that you don't have to struggle to get the lash inside of the thing. But then I like to curl them all together without any mascara on them to help them integrate into each other and look more seamless or uniform, or whatever expression you'd like to use. Okay, now I'm going to go in with mascara. I'm going to use the Lancome Hypnose mascara. I like it. Is it my all-time fave? No. Is it pretty good? And will I use up the tube? Yep, I sure will. Voila! What are you going to do with your day? Are you watching this on a work day? Are you going into work? Are you watching this on a weekend day? And if so, what do you have planned for your life? All right, that'll do it. Let's do the rest. I'll do my blush from Rare Beauty. This is a liquid or cream liquid blush, and it's in the color Hope. You only need a little bit of this. I'm going to go a little overboard only because of filming. I wanted to go for like a pinky cheek today. I debated peachy, because peach and gray go really well together also, but I think I'll stick with pink. See, that's a lot. That's like 3-4 drops or so. It'll fade a bit as the day goes on because I have oily skin, but you don't need to go super crazy with these, especially if you're just in real life. A dot or two is more than enough. But I'm doing this for the camera. Now, obviously in this lighting it picks up, but in the lighting I'm going to use for my other video, it will barely even show. That's the sad part. I want to tone down the edges here. I think I went a little crazy. I'm using the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Wherever Walnut for my lip liner. And I'm going to overline. I highly recommend these Makeup Forever pencils. You can use them on your eyes. You can use them anywhere. Of course, you have to sanitize them if you're using them on your mouth and then on your eyes. But man, they really do nicely. Let's try Christy. This is from the Pat McGrath Matte Trance collection. Let's try it. It's a nice lighter pink. Yeah, I think that's exactly the look I was going for. A cool tone, nudie pink. Okay, we are ready to curl the hair. So let's get to that. Nice, fresh, clean hair. Washed it this morning. It's interesting with fresh hair, I find that it doesn't always keep the curl the best. But what are you gonna do? I want to curl my hair. Yeah, I can do like extra product, but then I wake up the next day with a lot of like sticky stuff in my hair, or my hair's too heavy feeling. like to let the curls get cool down, like all the heat come out of it. And then I typically will apply a hairspray. This is the Davines Strong Hairspray. This stuff smells amazing. So while the curls are still in place, I like to coat them a little bit. It's not a miracle product or a miracle approach, but it helps. This stuff smells like amazing, like marshmallows and sugar, cotton candy. All things wonderful and yummy. And then because it is the day that I washed my hair and I curled like this, I will just do one of these numbers. I don't want to like disturb the curl too much because it's going to fall out on its own anyway. So I just like to rake my hands through the lower portion like so, just to give it some shape. I just want shape other than like straight plop. So let's leave that there. And then I always like to take my hands and just to give a little volume, my hair has enough product in it that I can do like that. And it just fluffs up the top a little bit. That also falls during the day. But for right now, and if you're taking pictures, doing that number will give the top of your hair some body. There's a lot of other ways to tease out hair, but I don't want to get into all that, because it creates a mess for later, like when you literally tease it with a comb or a little brush. So here's what we are working with. What do we think? I really like the way the eyeshadow came out. I love the cheek color. I love the lip color. I wish it wasn't as shiny, but I will be okay with this. I could always put a little bit of finishing powder to dull the shine if you wanted a truly matte look. I think the bronzer even came out okay considering how much I caked it on. And by the way, if you saw what I did with the bronzer, it helps to create a jawline where, as you go into your middle age, these little parts here start to sag down. All of this starts to go. So I'm happy with the look for a dramatic look for filming. So hope that you enjoyed today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, whoever is watching out there, get a hold of your imposter syndrome and live your best life. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today.